Welcome MTG Burgeoning viewer. This is a quick message to remind you of our rewards for September. If we get at least 30 subscribers during the month of September, then one subscriber will be chosen at random and receive an entire set of Modern Horizon art cards. Also, any subscriber who comments on every MTG Burgeoning video during the month of September will become eligible for the October Pack Wars. On October 1st, a list will be compiled of all subscribers that commented on every MTG Burgeoning video released during September. From this list, one subscriber will be chosen at random to participate in the October Pack Wars for free. If the chosen subscriber is already a Pack Wars supporter or member, then that subscriber will receive a second spot in the October Pack Wars. So be sure to leave a comment and prepare for war. We're MTG Burgeoning. This is Mystery Wednesday. Subscribe now and join the movement. Welcome back, viewers. This is Wildcard Wednesday, and this is a top 10 list of commander decks that I want to build. Hello, welcome Burgeonites. This is MTG Burgeoning and it is Wildcard Wednesday, and that means anything can happen. And in today's video, I am going to run through a top 10 list of commander decks that I want to build and how I would build each one. We're going to showcase the commander and then talk briefly about how I would go about building that deck. So we are going to start off with number 10. The mimeoplasm. For 2 and a sultai, which is a green, blue, and a black, we have a legendary ooze. As it enters the battlefield, we may exile 2 creature cards from graveyards, and if we do, it enters the battlefield as a copy of one of those cards with a number of additional +1/+1 counters on it equal to the power of the other card. So with this deck, I would definitely just load it up with some beasties on our side and a lot of mill to get a bunch of creatures of our opponents into their graveyards, and then just come with the mana and just keep casting mimeoplasm over and over again. Maybe include a little Mike and Ike combo in there. I think the mimeoplasm commander deck would be a lot of fun to play. And he is number 10, or it is number 10 of the top 10 commander decks I want to build. Number 9. Zur the Enchanter. For 1 and an Esper, which is white, blue, and black, we have a legendary human wizard. It's a 1/4 flyer, and whenever Zur attacks, we may search our library for an enchantment card with converted mana cost 3 or less and put it onto the battlefield. If we do, we shuffle our library, of course. So with his ability of searching out for enchantments, we can go a couple of different ways. We can just go straight Voltron, because each time the enchantment comes into play, it doesn't target Zur. So we can just... Oh, actually, I don't know. Enchantment card with converted mana cost 3 or less and put it onto the battlefield. I don't know if we would be able to do auras. I think that would just have to be an enchantment build. So that makes me question a little bit about making a Zur the Enchanter deck, because now I want to go a different way with it. Well, then initially I think we would just create one of those Enchanted Evening type decks where any enchantments that come into play, as long as they're converted mana cost 3 or less, will be enchantments. I don't know. Now I'm at a little bit of a loss. Zur the Enchanter. Library for an enchantment card. You know what? I'm going to have to pause this and check it out. Let's hang on 1 second. Okay, yes, so after checking that out, yes, you can seek out the auras. It was a little confusing to me because it didn't say specifically aura, and that's what I had thought originally. So yes, you can go and seek out the auras and make Zur a massive Voltron commander, because even if he has a Lightning Greaves on him giving him Shroud, it doesn't say attached to target, so it goes right onto Zur, right onto Zur, and then we can just build him up. So that's definitely what I would want to do. I would want to make Zur the Enchanter as a Voltron commander. Sorry about that confusion. I thought that's what I originally had thought it would do, but I guess reading the errata text confused me a little bit. I don't know. I should have just went with my original thoughts on that. But all right, so at least we have confirmation. All right, moving forward with our list. Number 8, Slimefoot the Stowaway. For 1 and a Golgari, which is a black and a green, we get a 2/3 legendary fungus. And notice it is only an uncommon. And it says, whenever a sapperling we control dies, Slimefoot the Stowaway deals 1 damage to each opponent and we gain 1 life. And to tap 4, we can create a 1/1 green sapperling creature token. Not too much imagination or creativity for a deck like this. I would just want to make all kinds of sapperlings, all kinds of token doublers, doubling season, second harvest, parallel lives, and just make a bunch of fungus tokens. I'm sorry, sapperling tokens, and just see what we can do. Pretty straightforward. That screams a budget build. Well, minus the doubling season and parallel lives, of course. So that's Slimefoot the Stowaway at number 8. Number 7, Joda the Archmage Eternal. For 1 and a Jeskai, which is blue, red, and white, we have a 4/3 legendary human wizard with flying. And we may pay a white, blue, black, red, and green rather than pay the mana for spells that we cast. So we're not building a Jeskai deck per se. We're building a 5-color deck. And what I would want to do with this 5-color deck is something a little different than I've done with my other 5-color decks, is I want to make this a Planeswalker deck. I would want to include as many viable Planeswalkers as I possibly could in this deck, with Joda as its general, knowing that all I have to do is reach that white, blue, black, red, green to cast any one of them from my hand. And that's it. Just throw some Planeswalkers together, get some support and defense and some board control, and just see what we can do. Definitely include a Fist of Suns in case Joda just isn't working out. So that is number 7. Number 6, we have Satin, Crozen Protector. For triple green, this is a legendary Centaur Druid that's 2/2. And his text reads, tap an untapped druid we control to add a green to our mana pool. And I want to go mono green with this, of course, because that's what the general is. And I just want to make this a druid tribal deck. I'm going to include all druids possible. And maybe if it's not too much of a stretch, even though this is a druid legend, I would try to make sure that we can include a bunch of elf druids in order to take care of some elf-specific cards, in order to put in some elf-specific cards. But definitely this would have a druid theme. So I would do druid tribal with Satin, Crozen Protector. Okay. All right, that's the bottom 5. Next up, number 5, we have another monocolored commander, Isamaru, Hound of Kanda. We got a vanilla creature here, folks. It costs a white, it's a legendary hound, and it's 2/2. There's no text. There's nothing else. He comes down on turn 1, and he's a 2/2, and he's going to start dealing some commander damage, and that's the kind of deck I would build around him. I would make this hound, or appropriately now he's a dog. So I would make this dog a definite Voltron commander. I would throw in a bunch of equipments and some auras and some peripheral and auxiliary support for equipment spells and for aura spells with some protection, and then just keep pounding away with Isamaru. He only costs 1, and we can expect that he'll get killed 4 or 5 times, but still, just bring him into play. He only counts as 1. Get off to a quick start. Isamaru was number 4. And he's an interesting commander because I think we can go either way with him financial wise. We can make a ridiculously overcosted deck, or we can go straight budget. All right, number 4, Obsida, Ghost Council. For 1, 2 white, and 2 black. This legendary spirit advisor is 5/5. And when it enters the battlefield, target opponent loses 2 life, and we gain 2 life. And at the beginning of our end step, we may exile obsida. If we do, return it to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of our next upkeep, and it gains haste. So we have a 5/5 for 5 CMC with a built-in blink ability to protect us from any sorcery speed removal. And every time it comes into play, an opponent's losing 2 life, and we're going to gain 2 life. So I just want to make a life drain deck. Put some blink things in here like Cloud Shift and a lot of other things that can help exile and bring right back into play obsida, and a bunch of other just incremental life drain throughout the game, and then just bleed the opponents dry as we get fatter and fatter on life total. That's how I would build obsida to Ghost Council. Top 3 time. Number 3. The Scarab God. For 3 and a Dimir, which is blue and black, we got a legendary god that's 5/5. At the beginning of our upkeep, each opponent loses X life, and we scry X, where X is the number of zombies we control. We can tap 2, a blue and a black, and exile target creature card from a graveyard. And if we do, we create a token that's a copy of it, except it's a 4/4 black zombie. When Scarab God dies, return it to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. So this guy, I would absolutely go Dimir Zombie Tribal. I mean, he can never die. He dies, he goes right to our hand. If he's exiled, well, he goes to the command zone, but we can expect him to die a few times, but he goes right back to our hand. So the Scarab God would definitely be the general or commander of a Dimir Zombie build. That's what I would want to do. And I think that would be a lot of fun to make. All right, number 2. Morphun the Boundless. For 7, we have a legendary shapeshifter that's 6/6 with the Changeling ability, which means that this card is every creature type. As Morphun the Boundless enters a battlefield, we choose a creature type. Spells of the chosen type you recast cost white, blue, black, red, green less to cast. This effect reduces only the amount of colored mana we pay, so it doesn't reduce the colorless or generic mana cost, just the actual colored mana symbols. And lastly, other creatures we control of the chosen type get +1/+1. Now, some moons ago, I had Morphun the Boundless as the commander of my current Sliver deck, which is part of the MTG Burgeoning Archives, which now is being piloted by the first Sliver. Morphun was the commander of that, but the 7 casting costs proved to be a difficult hurdle to jump over in a deck that wanted to operate very quickly, as few turns as possible. So he was relegated to one of the 99. And then he was acting as a speed bump during the process, and unfortunately I had to pull Morphun out. I did vow that I would find a home for him in some decks, or a deck minimally, and I think I really want to push to start building with Morphun the Boundless. And I think the very first deck I would have him pilot to be our general or commander would be a humans build. I think humans have a lot to offer. There's so many different ones. There's so many combinations. I think a lot of fun can be had with creating a Morphun the Boundless human deck. So that would be a human tribal. And number 1, the number 1 next commander deck that I want to build is Riku of Two Reflections. For 2 and a Teamer, which is a blue, red, and green, this legendary human wizard is only 2/2. So he's fragile. So there's definitely going to need to be a layer of protection provided for Riku of Two Reflections, because the way I envision creating a commander deck around him, he would be the integral key component of it. And this is why. Whenever we cast an instant or sorcery spell, we may pay blue and a red. Is it? If we do, we copy that spell, and we may choose new targets for the copy. Additionally, whenever another non-token creature enters the battlefield under our control, we may pay a green and a blue. We pay a Simic. If we do, we put a token that's a copy of that creature onto the battlefield. So with Riku of Two Reflections, we definitely want to take advantage as much as possible with the Is-It spell copying and the Simic creature token copy, or creating a creature token from a non-token creature that enters the battlefield. Keeping in mind, we don't have to cast it. It just has to enter the battlefield for us to trigger the copying of a creature. So this would be a pretty mana-intensive deck, so I would definitely want to include a lot of mana ramping, mana fixing, so that we can abuse the blue-red Izzet spell copying and the green-blue Simic creature copying as much as possible. I would definitely want to include some great creatures that would be worth having copies of, most likely some that have some great enter the battlefield triggers, in addition to some really good, economic instant and sorcery spells that we can attach a blue and a red to in order to draw some cards, get through our deck. Maybe include a couple of bomb instant and sorcery spells that, if copied, would pretty much just win us the game. So the number one commander deck that I want to build right now is Riku of Two Reflections. And that's it, folks. That is MTG Burgeoning's top 10 commander decks that he wants to build. What do you think of this list? Do you run any of these commanders? And if so, what suggestions can you make to help make these decks become a reality? This is MTG Burgeoning, folks. Thank you for watching. Want to become a Pack Wars combatant? 4 easy steps. Step number 1. Click on the link below in the description, or go to www.buymeacoffee.com/MTGBurgeoning. Step number 2, select either membership or support. Membership will enroll you into Pack Wars for $5 each month. Support will cost $5 for 1 month. Step number 3, complete payment information. The name you use will appear on the site. Use your real name, use your YouTube handle, or use no name at all and be anonymous. Be sure to include your email address in the information. Step number 4, most importantly, prepare for war.